Right. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Lit in English. Thank you so much for joining us today. And today is a very, very special day because I have many of my dear Master in Happiness study join us today. I see Diane here, and of course Giovanni is already here. Whitney might run a little bit late later. And since we recently changed our time here in the US, the hour is a little bit off for our friends in Vietnam and in Asia in general. And today I am super excited because um, I have made new friends and they are here. You know, I have Victoria, who is also Vietnamese, but she is currently living in Hong Kong. And then Vero is here as well. She is one of our fellow junior in the master program of happiness studies. So once again, thank you so much for joining us today. And this is the fourth episode of Lit in English. It is a journey of
Được
understanding your
chưa?
inner
Biết.
world and lit up a path to happiness as whole being. And this is the knowledge that we have learned from our mentor, from our master here in Vietnam. And there there's a lot of parallel to what we have learned in the MA in happiness study. So I am super excited to share this with Giovanni and Whitney initially, but later on, you know, everyone was so interested, and I am as well because this meant a lot to me. This is like East meet West, you know, the philosophy, the wisdom, and we all gather here to learn and to share. Usually, I would do a quick summary of what we have done in the past, like couple of episodes. But for the purpose of preserving the time and saving more time for the discussion of today's topic, I will go ahead and start the presentation now, and hopefully we will have many wonderful discussion. So, and feel free to raise your hand or just type your question in the chat box during the presentation. Even though it is in a presentation form, I would rather have discussion. So if you do have a question or if you have something interesting that you realize, feel free to raise your hand and we can discuss the material. So with further with no further ado, let's get started. And once again, thank you so much for joining us today. All right. So today we are going to introduce the second principle out of the four principle in this journey. And remember, this is a journey, and we are going on this journey as fellow journeyer. So I am presenting this, but we are all in this together. We are all learning from each other. So let me go ahead and draw number two here in the bottom of the page and write the title of today's presentation, which is the circle of knowledge. I think I'm running out of space here, but let's try of knowledge. All right. So the circle of knowledge tell us that there are different layer of knowledge out there. And we can start with what is most familiar with us. And I would like to call it the circle of my knowledge or yours, however you would like to put it. And this is a representation of what you know. And I would like to call it know. No. So I will try to keep it as simple as possible, and later on we can build on top of this. So at the very first, in the very beginning, we start out with what we know, as in something that we know for sure that we have know of that knowledge. For example, I know how to use Zoom. I know how to use my computer. So that knowledge is within this circle right here. It is something that we know for sure that we have mastered, that we have know in this life. And then there's a larger circle that surrounding the knowledge that we know, and that will be called we know, but we forget. All right. So what is a representation of the knowledge that we have known, but we forgot about it? Um, an example that I can use is algebra. I used to be really good in at algebra in college. I got an A plus, and I was very proud of my accomplishment back then. But if you were to present an algebra problem to me right now, I wouldn't be able to do it. But I can Google the formula, and I can take a day or two to learn, and I will be able to remember the knowledge, and I will be able to solve the problem. And in fact, I did this before. Okay, so I took algebra back in 2007. 3 years later, in 2010, one of my best friend asked me to tutor him in in calculus. Um, so what I meant is calculus. I didn't know if I said algebra, but for calculus, my friend asked me to help him, even though at that very moment I couldn't remember anything that I had learned 3 years prior to that. But I know that I can just relearn it. And that's what I did. I told him to give me 3 days. And then I went online. I found all of the formula. I did some practice, and I ended up score really high for the test to see how well I understood the calculus back then. So the knowledge that we have known, but we forgot about it until someone remind us of that knowledge. Then it's activated and we remember it. Now there's another layer of knowledge that went out even further than the knowledge that we have known, but we forget. And that would be the knowledge that we know that we don't know. An example of this would be I know that I don't know how to fly a helicopter or an airplane. So that I know for sure that I don't know right now. So this knowledge is including the know and forget, and the know that we know is a lot bigger. There are many things that we don't know that are out there compared to what we know. And that is the reason all of the wise men in the world always said that the more you learn, the more you feel like you don't know as much as before. So the circle of knowledge of know and don't know is a lot bigger than what we have learned. Now, the last one, which is also very important, and this the outermost circle is the representation of the knowledge that you don't know. In fact, you don't know that you don't know. So do you think that there are knowledge that you don't know? When I first heard of this, it was pretty personal because I was like, what do you mean the knowledge that I don't know? If I don't know it, how can I give an example of it? And and then I was shown that there are many knowledge that we weren't even aware of. So if you can think a scientist, let's say Nikola Tesla, for example, prior to his invention of electricity, uh, people probably didn't even know that you can manipulate electricity and create light and utilize it. So the invention of electricity literally changed the way we live today, right? This was a revolution in the industry. So there are many knowledge that we don't know until it materialized, until it's registered in our awareness. And that circle of knowledge is the biggest of all. And it is important for us to be aware of the circle of knowledge so that we can explore and we can learn from what our heart desire. And at the very basic of this, as the very foundation, we can apply these knowledge to have a better communicate with others. So I would like to start with the very basic first, like how can we apply this principle? How can we apply the circle of knowledge to our daily life? And imagine, right? I don't know if you have this experience before, but if I can ask you to think about your favorite teacher, right? Thinking about the experience that you have with your favorite teacher. And now I want you to think about like a really bad teacher that you have had in the past. And I want you to compare the two. So for me personally, back in 2007, I had a psychology professor. His name was Dr. Yizel, amazing professor. His class was his class started at like 8 a.m., but it was always full. There was students show up early just to make sure that they didn't miss any of the lecture. And then there was a biology professor that I had in the same semester. She was great, but then her teaching style was so confusing because he used like all of these big words, and she she was making an assumption that everyone in the class know what she is talking about, but everyone was so lost, especially myself. And I didn't know why that was. Like, why was it that some people can communicate so much better than other? Why was it that there are some teacher that can do so well in teaching? And this circle of knowledge would help you explain it. So I want to draw another circle of knowledge so that we can see the interaction between the two. So imagine that this first circle here is your circle. And the next one that I draw, let's say it is the representation of the person that we are going to interact with. And I'm going to draw a circle very similar to the one that we have, but instead of writing it no, no, I would like to write it no. And then a little bit bigger circle. It is a representation of the knowledge that we know we forget. And let's call it the forgotten. And another outer layer representing these knowledge that we know that we don't know. And let's call that the unknown. And last but not least, the outermost layer. And I would like to call it unconsciousness, since it's the knowledge that we don't know. Let's call it unconsciousness. Make sure I spell it correctly. Unconscious consciousness. Now, when we share an idea or let's say when we want to share knowledge with other, and we can use it in a teaching setting, we would want to communicate what we know to other person, right? So we have to start with the know, the information that we know. But let's say this is the top one is us. We would want to start with what we know. All right. So imagine when we share our knowledge with other people, there are four possibilities. The first possibility is that the information that we share, it would go to the knowledge that they have already know as well. And that would be very boring because you don't learn anything new, right? Because they already know what you know. So there's not much that you can share with them. So that will be the first possibility. The second possibility that you're sharing what the amazing knowledge that you know, but it hit the circle of knowledge that they know but they forget, then they might be puzzled in the beginning, and then it's all coming back to them. They realize that, oh, I have learned this before. And after that, it's get pretty boring because they have already know what you know. So there isn't much more to share with them. And then the third possibility is that the knowledge that you have already know hit their circle of know that they don't know. And because they know that they don't know, there is interest there. They might be interested in learning. But in the case of my biology professor, the way she talked is just so confusing. All of the knowledge was so new to me that I couldn't comprehend it. And I gave up on that class. I just dropped that class. I thought it wasn't worth it because I just don't understand what she was talking about. Now, the last possibility is that the knowledge that you know hit the circle that they don't know. They wasn't even aware of it. And you might be very passionate about it, like my biology professor was. I I wouldn't be able to understand anything. My brain would block all the information because it's alien to me. So if you were to share what you know with other people, then it's almost guaranteed that you won't be able to accomplish anything. But reality show us otherwise because I had great experience with my psychology professor. He was very good. He was very relatable. And I realized that he didn't start with what he know, even though he is very wise. He he did a lot of study and he's the expert in his field. And I realized that he didn't start with what he knows. He start with what the student know. It's very important here. He start with what the student know, the knowledge that everyone is familiar with, and then he expand that knowledge. And I still remember one of the story that he told the class about how frustrated he was that on his way to work in the past, that some people just cut him off, and it's used to make him very upset. And that happened to all of us. And then one day, his dog got poisoned, and he had to rush his pet dog to the hospital. And he was the one that cutting people off, and he was like speeding. And at that very moment, he realized, oh, so that sometime like people had an emergency and they in a situation where they had to act out of their usual behavior. So through that story, everyone in the class was able to relate to the story and they was able to learn from the materials. And that is the importance of with studying with what they know, with the person that we talk to. And and that is where we need to start. So similarly, if we want to expand our knowledge, okay. So let's say you're not talking to other people, you are talking to yourself. Oh my goodness, let me fix the conscious here. We fix the misspell. So there's an extra C here. All right. Okay, so let's back to this. So imagine if you self-studying, imagine that you're in a situation where you want to expand your knowledge, then you would apply the same technique, right? You would start with what you know, and then you expand it out to the circle that you know that you forget, and possibly you will be able to touch the knowledge that you know you don't know. And even better, when you do enough research, you might even touch the circle of knowledge of the outer layer of don't know. And I didn't realize how amazing this circle of knowledge is until I took a class in the MA in happiness studies. And my professor, Dr. Talvin Shahar, he mentioned about the spiral of knowledge. And it all makes sense to me when he first mentioned it. Because, well, I don't remember exactly what he said, but in the spiral of knowledge, it is a technique or it is a way that I guess scientists or or researcher used to expand on their knowledge to study deeply in the topic. And they would start with the knowledge that they have already know, and they focus on the knowledge. And the more each of the time that they go back to the information, to the knowledge that they have already known, they study it a little bit deeper, and eventually they are able to expand the knowledge. So if you were to think about math, right, psychology, sociology, physics, all of it, it starts with the circle of knowledge of what we have already know, and then it's expanded out to the other circle. And each time we gain more and more knowledge. So imagine if we are doing the same thing, but this time we we study with other people and we are able to learn from them, then we will be able to expand our knowledge even faster. And that would be the traditional way, right? And what we are doing here is pretty much just expanding our knowledge to the unconsciousness, to the unknown. But to me, this circle of knowledge hold a much more meaningful uh, expression, because this principle is called the circle of knowledge. It is talking about the knowledge of the world. It is talking about the knowledge of the universe. It is not talking about your experience in this life, right? So the knowledge of the universe itself is vast and is already existed. And all of the great thinker in the past, they all mention this. And one of them that I got a chance to study is Plato. I got to learn about him in my philosophy class back in college in uh, in 2011 to be precise. And Plato said something very interesting. He said that everything that we have learned and is learning, they are not new. They are already existed, and we are relearning them. And he said it as a matter of fact. And I thought he was crazy back then, but I changed my perception now. And what he said makes a lot of sense, right? Because we all have gotten that experience before when information comes to us, and it just makes so much sense, make all the sense in the world. But we second guess ourselves. We wasn't sure, is it right? Is it the right way of approaching things? Is that the right way to look at things? And I have had these experience when I was like 13, 14 years old when I was in Vietnam. And I was so excited about all of the principles that I thought of, and I shared it with my mom, and she told me to go away because she was busy doing something. And a lot of times she said that like I was too young, like what do I know? So not until later when I went over to the US and I got a chance to read books from highly successful people, and then I realized that all of the principle and idea that I have had, they put it in their book and they teach it in their workshop and seminar. And I was like, that's yeah, of course it is. Of course it is, because that's just how the world works. It's make perfect sense. So I'm sure all of us have similar experience. And I believe that the way like science work, you know how like there's the field between like religions and science, and some people, well, me to be precise, um, I used to have a view, a very like science-based view where I have to see it before I believe it, right? I have to see proof. I have to see a research study done on it because I believe in science. That's how I was. And not until my mentor pointed out to me that like scientists, they are actually the the like the one with the most faith because many of them they believe so much in their research that they dedicated their entire life to prove that it is true. But that idea has to have an origin, right? Have you ever thought of that? Right? They have to, the idea has to come to them and they feel it so strongly. They know it to be true. They know it to be a fact that they dedicated years. Sometimes it was their entire life to prove it to be true. Like Albert Einstein, toward the end of his life, he wasn't able to complete his work. He wanted to uh, comes up with a formula to to show how the entire universe works, but he wasn't able to complete his work. But he knew that it is there. He knew that it is out there. Right. So the beauty about the circle of knowledge is that there are experiences where you receive the knowledge, and we have all the right in the world to know that it is true. And my realization is the knowledge that that we acquire in this life is often go from the outer layer of the don't know, and then it's go inward to the circle of knowledge that you don't know. And then they will go inward to the circle of what you know, but you forget to do. Because knowledge is always there. And with enough study and dedication, you will make it your know knowledge. And there are many, many examples in the world of people who are able to, I guess you can use the word download information, download knowledge. And one of my hobby when I was younger was reading uh, story of scientists, and a lot of those story it was written in Vietnam, so I don't know like what the name was in English. But one of the stories that resonated the most to me is a mathematic uh, person. He got into an argument with someone in his town, and he agreed to a gunfight. And he knew that he will not make it because it was not his strength, but he believed in keeping his pride, So he know that he will show up the next morning. But the night before, he wanted to write down everything that he had learned about math. And in that story, it said that even today, the scientists up to date world, they still couldn't understand everything that he had written down. And of course, the mathematician, he didn't make it after the gunfight. But the moral of the story is that there are people in the world who are able to have a great understanding of knowledge. They couldn't explain why, but they are able to, I guess, download those information, the material. And I guess the most popular story and the one that I that resonated the most to me is the story of Elon Musk. And in one of his interview, um, there was a question asked that like the one of the audience he admired Elon Musk so much, and he asked that like, what can I do to be like you? I want to be just like you, Elon. So what should I start now? And Elon froze for like a good 10 seconds. I don't know if he was thinking about it, but I was watching the interview and I saw Elon was just thinking out loud. And he said that you don't want to be me. You don't want to be me because like ideas could just keep coming to to me, and I couldn't stop it. Something along that line. And I see like a real concern expression in Elon Musk's face. And that was the moment that I decided to study Elon more. And then I realized that Elon Musk was so smart when he was young. He actually won a coding event hosted by uh, like the computer company. Like I forgot what the I think they have the letter E, M, and I. Forgot the name of the company, but pretty much like even when Elon was much younger, he had already know what he needed to do, and he often talked about he always knew that he wanted to invest it in finance. He always wanted to invest it in uh, payment system like PayPal. He knew that electric car is very important. He always knew that AI is important. He wanted to um, do space exploration, and he always wanted to work on how to alter the human gene so that we can live longer. So at the very, very young age, he was already having that understanding. And he made the conscious decision to move to North America because he knew that he couldn't do what he wished to do when he lived in South Africa. So he moved to North America. He went to Canada first, and then eventually he moved to the US, and he became the Elon Musk that we knew today. So the message that I guess I want to communicate across is that the circle of knowledge or the spiral of knowledge is is something very, very special. And each and every one of us is very, very special because we are capable of acquiring knowledge. And the principle of the circle of knowledge give us a full layout of how the knowledge of the world works. And I guess we all have different experience when it's come to knowledge, how we perceive it, and how we explore it in our own life. So I would love to hear what you say about this, what you have learned from your experience, or what you have learned from the book that you have read, because I want to hear your experience as well, so that this knowledge here would make more sense to my personal experiences. Giovanni, please unmute yourself.
Hey Ben, hey everyone. All right, so I took a lot of notes. I'm a very visual person, and I want to take you on a little journey here. So what I did is, as soon as you wrote the circle of knowledge and started doing the circles in the green, I changed it to the tree of knowledge because to me, from this vantage point, it looks like a tree stump when it's cut. Okay. Um, so let's just go there first. So what we're looking at in the no stage is a seed that is encapsulated in this protective shell, right? So we're just exactly like that seed. Um, except that our understanding at that point is limited by, our preconceptions and also our fixed ideas. Now, when we move into the no forget stage, the seed starts to germinate, and that's when it sheds the shell, basically. And what that means to me is we're beginning to release barriers to our own growth in that stage. Um, and then I wrote down here in the don't know stage, that's when the seedling actually starts to grow. We're emerging from the soil at that point, going past the six limiting beliefs that we talked about, in the previous sessions. And this creates an opportunity for us to be open, I wrote down, and it allows us to grow into the unknown. Um, and then from there, we go into the don't know stage where now the seedling's growth turn into a mature tree at this point. And what that means is that we have been firmly rooted in the earth, branching out, and we deepen our understanding. And as we learn more of ourselves and who we truly are, we provide shade and shelter, and I put sustenance to those around us, because what we then do is we offer people our fruits, the fruits of us. And so that's what I got with the green part. And then when you did the blue circle part, um, I automatically, for some reason, the Buddha came to my mind. So it's like we have the tree of knowledge, but then we have this seed that's within inside of all of us. Um, so before enlightenment, the Buddha, he lived as a prince and he had many teachers. He was very well known. So he knew a lot of things automatically. But there was still this sense of the reality of things as being like impermanence. He had so many things, but he can see that these things could be taken away. So that's what was haunting Buddha. Um, when he got to the forgotten stage, just like the seed, he had to shed the shell of his attachments and all of his desires. He left everything that he loved, in search of something unknown. So once he got to the unknown stage, I wrote here that this is a stage of deeper understanding. Um, and as Buddha was sitting beneath the tree, because what this looks like to me is I'm looking at it from a bird's eye, looking at what the Buddha was doing and what the tree was doing at the same time. You know, um, he encountered the unknown and he became one with that tree. There was some kind of energy exchange that happened, that allowed Buddha to know, like you were talking about. Some people get downloads and instantly he knew his oneness with everything. So once you reach the into the unconsciousness, which is like the pure unknown stage, um, this is where we get the fruits from the tree, from his tree. These are the insights from his patterns of conditioning, which he transcended all of them. So the seed, the tree, and Buddha all are doing the same exact thing. They're all growing towards the light. And what is the light? The light is pure, the light is clarity, the light is awareness, and God, source, whatever you want to call it, that one creator is that light. So that's what we're all meant to do, is to just grow towards that light. And yeah, I love how you drew the yellow and the no as well, because that's what gave me the light image in my head. So thank you for that.
Thanks, Giovanni. And of course, I always love it when you speak your mind, how you connect the dot. And to be very honest with you, when I first drew it, usually I use different color, but for some reason, like today, I was like, I'm just gonna grab the green one. And then I'm just gonna use the blue one up here. And I love how you connect it to the tree of light and uh and the Buddha both start with the capital B. And one thing that I think I started to notice, and even though I have been learning this knowledge for almost 2 years now. But each time that I learn, there's always new lesson to me, and and uh, and yeah, I think everything is interconnected, and the application of each of these principles are so deep in so many layers, which is at the very beginning, right? When I first learned it, all I got from it is how to talk to other people, how to share what we know with other people, and we need to start with what they know rather than what we know. And I thought that was amazing. I didn't know of this before, and I can be a great teacher if I can apply this. But later on, when each time that I present the principle, the more that I learn, I realize that hey, this is true knowledge. This is a lot bigger than just communication. And like bringing you into the discussion, uh, making it like so much richer. And I just love the way you somehow you just connect to all of the knowledge that you have learned and acquired, and you put it beautifully. So thank you for that. And I'm sure everyone appreciate you very much as well. And I see Victoria raise her hand. Victoria, feel free to unmute yourself.
Hi, Ben. Hello, everyone. Thank you, Ben, for inviting me to this meeting. I find it very interesting and useful. So I joined the certificate in happiness study in last October. So I'm a new baby here. But your presentation is very interesting, and I think it's the visual presentation is very clear. And when I look at your first green color of 4 circles, it makes me think of the 3 levels of consciousness. The first level of consciousness is our consciousness, which means that when we are awake now, we are aware of who we are, what we are doing, and of our sensory experience. So maybe it's called no here. And the second level, which is more subtle than the first level, which is, for me, I think of the subconsciousness. Subconsciousness means that we already the holder of the knowledge we have known, but we forget or we think that we don't know, but it comes back. Just like when you draw this circle, all the knowledge related to the level of minds come back to me. And sometimes if nobody mentioned about that, I'm not aware of it. So that's the second layer. For me, the subconsciousness, my subconsciousness will include your know, forget, and know and don't know. Know that you don't know, the next 2 circles. And the last circle, don't know, means for me the same thing, unconsciousness, which means that is for me is the collective consciousness, our universe, everything that is connected and that is there. The thing is it's not visible to us or not manifest to us, but actually we all are able to access to this unconsciousness mind. And as our colleague just mentioned, Giovanni, I'm sorry, your name. Sorry, I'm very new here. Is that Giovanni? Just
Yeah,
share.
that was perfect. Mhm.
Yeah. So I really like you sharing about Buddha's enlightenment when he wake up from the sleep of ignorance, and he just connected to the very deep level of our consciousness, which is the unconsciousness. then he realized that everything's there and everything is connected. He see everything directly and simultaneously. It's just now, maybe for me, I believe that now we operated in this own universe, in this dimension of time and space. But there's another level of worlds that is operating simultaneously. But due to our physical time, space limitation, we cannot connect to those other worlds. But when we can reach our deepest level of unconsciousness, which we are aware, and it can only be done through meditation, which is the inside, it's not outer world, it's not external knowledge, but actually it's inner and personal experience. And then if we come back to that, then I believe, according to Buddhist teaching, it's possible for us to access the source, the root of the chi of knowledge, which is the deepest of our core being, of our real existence. So for me, the cycle you make it is really wonderful because it's make it in a very simple way to look at it and to summarize what we know and understand about knowing, because that's what make us different from animals and show that we have such great fortune in terms of learning and deepening our knowledge and life experience so that we can get more enlightenment and share with others and help others to get enlightened too. And for me, what is important to notice is that the purpose of knowing, why we want to know and what we want to know. Because nowadays we are exposed to so many information. We are living in a world of overloading information. And if we are not careful, we get easily overwhelmed and get stressful about that. And we end up knowing nothing. So it's very important to be selective in terms of knowledge. And Ben just mentioned what is very important, that we just come back to the classical and great thinker, just like Aristotle and Confucius, or Buddha, those great thinkers who already gone through, devote their whole life to spreading the universal principle to make us our life happy and meaningful. And because our human life is very short, we may live maybe 120 years maximum, but we never know. We may die just today or tomorrow. There's only one thing that is certain, is our impermanence, our death. So given that short of time limit time, then what should we know? So it's come to me, I feel that I'm very fortunate to have come across a TAN's certificate in happiness, because it make it very clear what we should focus on, right? Because everyone do everything differently, but the thing is we all want the thing, which is to be happy. So we need to focus our energy on this quest for our ultimate currency, which is happiness. Because whatever we do, whatever we study, the purpose of that is to make our life happier, more meaningful, and more successful for ourselves and for those we love. So this circle is wonderful presentation, and it reminds me that when we want to share knowledge, then it should start like that, from know to know. That is, make it easier for everyone to perceive and to understand, and then it make our sharing more meaningful and more useful. So thank you very much for this.
Right. Thank you, Victoria. That was a great analysis, and I hear a lot of happiness study vocabulary, so I'm happy with that. And Victoria reached out to me, everyone. She's taken the certificate program, and she found me on the LMS in happiness studies. And then we connected, and I invited her here. Victoria is planning to apply for the MA in happiness studies. You're welcome. I'm glad that you are here. We have many of the MA students here with us today too, so I think it's meant to be. And I'm just so glad that we all find value in this presentation. And for me, I have learned so much from you guys, even though I am presenting this. This is a journey. We all know we are fellow journeyer. And to be very, very honest with you, I don't know much about the Buddha. I don't know any of the story. But when I hear you talk about the knowledge, I feel very much related to it. So thank you for joining us, for joining me on this journey and sharing your perspective, because I've learned so much from your perspective and your sharing. And this is what motivates me to keep sharing, because I might not understand this fully yet, but I know that this is the truth. And the more we explore it, the better we understand it, the deeper we get familiarized with it. And I also see Molly raise her hand. Molly's another MA student. I had never seen her before until this week, because she is one of my coaching partner, and she lives in Shanghai. Thank you so much for joining us, and let's connect. We have a lot of our fellow students here. Feel free to unmute yourself, Molly. See, I can help you unmute. I don't know if she raised her hand by mistake, but if you can unmute yourself, feel free to. And while we are waiting for Molly, if you would like to share, feel free to raise your hand as well, because I would love to hear from everyone. Problem unmuting. Yeah, I see Molly's type in the chat that she is having problem unmuting. Yeah, you might want to maybe log off and log back in. That might solve the problem. I see Victoria raise her hand again. Okay.
Yes, if possible, can I ask some question related to the MA, since I'm considering switching from my certificate into the MA, so it would be wonderful if you guys, senior, can give me some advice and some tips, because my concern is that there will be a lot of study. I enjoy studying my certificate a lot. It fits into my busy schedule. But then there's the MA. So my first question is only Tan who lecturing, or there's other professor at the Centenary University who also give teaching, and in which subject? That is my first question.
Victoria, so for the MA, the setting is very similar to the certificate program, but we have to do a lot more homework, and then we have to write more. There are writing assignments, and then we have to do like final project. So it's just more work. And I think since you have already taken the certificate program, it will be an easy transition. But just keep in mind that you have to invest at least like 10 to 30 hours a week. And I think you can do it. We talk a little bit about this. So I'm sure you can do it, and you're very passionate about the program. And you do have like a month to apply. So I think you should definitely give it a try, and you might make it to the April cohort, April class.
Yeah, thank you, Ben. But are there other professors who give teaching as well, or only Tan who gives teaching like it is in the certificate?
We have other professors too, but mainly we would interact with Tao in our weekly Zoom, but the other professor would help you with the material, and they would grade your paper. I think like that. Yeah, Diane probably had better answer. Okay, for me, I just do the homework. So to me, it's like it's easy because I just do it. So I don't know like how to explain. Like, is it harder or? But feel free to help me out, Diane. Thank you.
I wanted to say that this semester we have a guest professor for part of the class time. She focuses on a particular subject, and Tal focuses on the other part of the subject. So we kind of have two teachers during class time this semester, but all of our other classes have been just Tal.
Thank you, Dan. Thank you.
Right. Thanks, Diane. Yeah, I almost forgot that Phoebe pop up here and there to give the lectures to. Completely forgot about her because I got so
And
used to interacting with them, So I was like, it's just a webinar.
And what are you guys doing after the master? Are you going to do the PhD, or you like end up doing coaching or teaching career? What is your plan?
Well, there's a lot of different plans. For me personally, I continue on this journey. I'm going to get my PhD, and I hope to do more research on the field. And I think the sky is the limit. I think happiness study is really, really amazing. You can apply it to anything. And the knowledge is very relatable to what I have learned here in my Vietnamese community. And word cannot describe how vast or how applicable these knowledge are. And I feel like we barely scratched the surface of happiness studies. I think it is important to practice the 3R in change. That is repetition, reminder, and ritual. And that is actually related to the circle of knowledge and the spiral of knowledge, because we want to focus on what we know, and then we expand our understanding in the topic. And the more we work on it, the broaden our view are when it's come to happiness study. So Tao has mentioned position like chief of happiness officer in an organization or in school, and many of our students was able to earn the position in the college or the university that they worked. So I think there are many possible career path that one could choose.
Great, Ben. Thank you so much. I love your sharing knowledge, sharing. So it would be a wonderful professor in happiness, and that would help a lot of people. I really rejoice in it. And thank you for this meeting. Very kind of you. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks,
I'm happy to have fellow friends in this study of happiness. It's so meaningful.
Thanks, Victoria. I'm working on it. So
Yeah, we all working.
I'm working on it. So I'm going there. But thanks for your word of encouragement. I see Molly's back, so I don't know. I don't know if she can speak now. I think her mic is on. Hi, Molly.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, loud and clear.
Oh, great.
Hi.
Hello. I don't know if you guys can see me.
Yeah, we can see you.
I can see myself. Oh, great. Okay, hi. Hi, everyone. My name is Molly. I'm one of the master degree student. So yeah, I only got to meet Ben yesterday, this week. And I know Jasmine, and I met Jasmine a couple of weeks ago. So yeah, really glad to be here. So Ben, the circle of knowledge that you shared to me, I think it just reminded me how humble we should be because that circle, like the most outer circle, don't know circle is probably unlimited. Like it's like infinitely large that we just don't know. And it reminded me of what Socrates said, like the only thing that makes him smarter than the other guy is that he knows he's ignorant. And so I feel like sometimes when we try to share information with others, or somebody else try to share information with us, we like don't, if it's not working, sometimes it's the ego that's in the way. Like, at least for me, I sometimes feel that too, because we tend to kind of defend what we know already. And then if there's something new that comes in that conflicts with what we know already, we kind of tend to want to defend it and kind of push it away. And kind of then we are in the don't know area. Like we try to sustain in a way that we know the world, and sort of scared of exploring something that's completely unknown. So it, like, really thankful that you share this circle, and then you kind of drew two of them to show how how two of them can interact with each other, or multiple people's, circles can interact with each other. And that was very inspirational. And that was a really good way of explaining. So just wanted to share that, what I thought. Thanks.
Thanks, Molly. And I have learned this from other, I learned this from my mentor, and I'm sure he's learned it from other great thinker. So knowledge is shared. And I'm so glad that you brought up the point that we are more similar than differences. And we all have our own circle of knowledge. And it is true that everything that we know, it can be vast, but the little circle of no it is very tiny. And we need to appreciate other. We need to treat them as equal, because it is true that that the knowledge is so vast out there, and a person can only be wise when they know, or they admit to themselves that they know nothing. And I'm sure there are other meaning behind that saying, behind that quote. But I'm just glad that you was able to pick out the lesson that we are all similar than differences, and we need to treat other with kindness, with compassion and appreciation. And truly, there's so much that we can learn from this. For the purpose of this presentation, I'm just glad that each of everyone has their the lesson that they gain from this. So thanks, Molly.
Thanks, Wen.
Yep. All right. And I would love to hear more from everyone to even share your perspective, your idea. That would be very much appreciated. And for me, like, there's so much more, but I feel like I cannot somehow, like, I just cannot share any more about this. But there are
Can I say
definitely further layer. Yep. Victoria, yeah, you were saying something.
I would like to share just something regarding what Molly just shared with us about humility, in terms of knowledge, and also in terms of how the ego is getting in the way. Yeah, I think this is a very important thing. That is my case, because I feel that everyone have the problem, especially me, the problem of grasping at our views. And it reminds me of the very simple and funny example of the letter number 6. Yeah, somebody just see it as a 6, but other say it's 9. So we just argue and just fighting with each other to find out who's right. So when we are grasping at our own view and believe that is true and any other opposing views are false, then that is the ego is getting in the way. And that is when we are in trouble with ourselves and with others. So I have learned this lesson through my meditation practice, and I come to realize that is what Ben said is very, very true, that we need to approach the what are the field of knowledge with kindness, appreciation, and compassion. Then it will have the power to protect us from developing our ego and self-grasping that interfere in our journey to higher learning, because we are so ignorant. It's not only Aristotle, Socrates talk about, I know that I know nothing, but also Buddha, he mentioned this in all of his teaching about we are so ignorant. Ignorant here does not mean that we don't know things, but is that we know things in the wrong way, and we believe that that is the only way that thing exists, and that is true, and that is our ignorance. So just a couple of words to share with Molly, because I think it's very important point to mention about the quality of humility, compassion, kindness, and appreciation to protect ourselves from our ego.
Wonderful, Victoria. Great connection there. Yeah, I think it's very, very important that we have compassion and relate. We need to be relatable to others, and that's definitely expand our knowledge, expand our awareness. And I finally see Whitney raise her hand, so I can't wait to hear what she had to say. Please unmute yourself, Whitney.
Everyone was just sharing so beautifully that I wanted to soak it up. That was really special. And Victoria, when she spoke the first time, she went straight to the second intellectual principle that engaging in deep learning fulfills our potential as rational animals. So I thought that that was really cool because it's very on theme that we were talking about that. But there's so many things that the other part of my hesitation to raise my hand is that, like you said, you could go so deep with it, and it's like how far can we go in the amount of time that there is? But I finally raised my hand this time because both Victoria and Molly hit on something that I think is really important about the humility and taking the time to question ourselves and what we know. And it made me think, because I like to bring the science into it, about Adam Grant's work on, he wrote a book, Think Again, but he's done a lot of research on it, on questioning what we think we know, questioning others, and just having humility and respect to be able to have those conversations, because we go further when we don't just assume that something is true. And that also made me think of Emerson's work, which I'm sure Giovanni will appreciate, who, was a esteemed American philosopher who wrote a lot about self-reliance and the need for us to look within. And one of my favorite quotes by the poet Walt Whitman, which is, well, it's one part of Song 51 and Song of Myself, but it's that, do I contradict myself? Very well, then I contradict myself. I'm large. I contain multitudes. And I just think that that's so beautiful to keep in our mind, that I might say something different today and something different tomorrow, because I've learned new things between yesterday and today and tomorrow. And just in the course of this conversation, my mind has expanded. And, we talk about like the downloads and the consciousness. Also, one fun fact is that Milton, when he wrote Paradise Lost, it said that was like a download. Like he dictated it because he was blind. And the person he dictated it to said that he would just like wake up from his sleep and just give complete passages of it, which I thought was really cool. So all these different pieces, a kind of manic entry to my brain, but that's some of what was coming up for me. So I just appreciate the direction of the conversation. And everyone's right, you're a lovely teacher.
Thanks, Whitney. And I really appreciate you bring the science and the researches into our discussion because that is needed. At the end of the day, we need to have a strong foundation to build our knowledge on, and it's great that we have Whitney here to really remind us that and provide us the research. So for me personally, this is an eye-opening principle, an eye-opening introduction to knowledge. Because when I observe the world around me, I realize that we live within our comfort zone so much. There are so much distraction nowadays, right? We like we barely get out of our comfort zone to explore the unknown, to explore our subconsciousness and unconsciousness. And I don't know if it is intentional, but there are very few activities that a modern human life have. And I think we need to take back our ability to learn to immerse ourselves in nature, because I feel like it is the connection that we always have, but we have lost, and we can gain it through mindfulness, through our interaction with others, rather than just watch TV all day, or getting too busy with work, or just be too busy keeping up with a TV show, for example. That's how I lived my life in the past as well. So I think there are a lot of distraction, and then I feel very blessed that we are having this platform, we are having this discussion so that we can expand our knowledge. And there is a way, to do it. And this is the journey to get there. Is a journey of understanding your inner self, understanding your inner world. And once you do that, it will lead up a path to happiness as whole being. And I think the key word here is whole being. There's some part of us that is missing. And once we can connect to our mind, to our spirit, to the wholeness of us, I think we will experience life in a much more meaningful way. We will definitely be happier, and I'm excited to continue this journey. And there are so much more to explore, and I hope that you enjoyed today's presentation. And I would like to personally invite you to continue to show up on this weekly gathering, because there are more that I would love to share, and there are so much more that I would love to hear from you, because just listening to your perspective helped me understand this better. I think the future is very, very bright. I'm so thankful that we have this opportunity to learn together. I see Jasmine raise her hand. Please, Jasmine.
Hi, everyone. I just want to build on something that Giovanni said earlier, that remind me something that we're going to learn in the journey as well. That is the 5 level of intelligence or wisdom. And it very much built on the Buddhism point of view as well. So so last week we was learning about the 7 holistic wealth, and so that the wisdom part that is built on the wisdom part. So the knowledge just said that we have 5 levels of wisdom or intelligence. And the first one would be like true, false, right or wrong. The second one is the cause of life came from me, but the fall is not my fault. And the third one would be the nothingness state in Buddhism. And the fourth one would be connecting with your Akashic record. And the final one would be, like, I would say like know it all, like Buddha had that wisdom, the power of wisdom, the highest level of no power of wisdom that we can access. That when Giovanni was talking about the tree and we connect to all of the circle, we connect to like the highest one. It remind me of that wisdom that last week we were learning, but we did not go deep yet. So soon we're going to go deeper, and we will be able to learn more about the level, and then we will be able to define where we are at which moment in life. That's going to be amazing. Thank you for allowing to sharing, and also thank that baby Bella Luna allowing me to share, because she was like, I'm not going to let you talk without I'm like being present here. Thank you all.
Love it. Thank you, Jasmine.
Thank you, Jasmine.
So
And,
cute, baby.
yeah, thank you. Yeah, I forgot to do like a quick summary, because as I mentioned earlier, this is a journey. So all of the knowledge that we learn is a build up from the previous week, and the circle of knowledge connect to. Thanks to Jasmine for reminding me. This, because I know there are like new I guess members of this call that I forgot to mention, like the build up from the previous week. So last week we mentioned the connection between the immaterial world and the material world. So the build up to the circle of knowledge is that there are information, there are knowledge that is beyond our awareness, but we can connect to it. And like Jasmine said, we will explore more in the future. The foundation of the seventh element is wisdom itself as the foundation of the house. And there's no way that I can summarize all of it. So if you missed out the past couple of week presentation, feel free to reach out to me. I can send you the recording of the previous week, and I think like having all of the knowledge, all of the presentation that we have done, it will enrich our discussion. And thanks, Jason, for reminding me of that. And usually I would like to keep this conversation within 90 minutes. If you would like to share or discuss anything else, feel free to raise your hand. If not, I will play a song and we will say goodbye. And I will see you next week around the same time.
Hey Ben, I can go a little bit deeper, but I don't think we have like 5 hours to go that deep. So I'm looking forward to next week and just taking it little by little. So I appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Giovanni. And feel free to speak your mind. I know there's a time limit, but it is always good. And in fact, it is very important to speak your mind. It is the opportunity to connect to your Akashic record, or however one might call it. But it is a journey to connect to our innermost self. And yeah, you can definitely make the don't know. You can definitely connect your unconsciousness and make it conscious. And we can learn so much from each other. And I think it is a very important journey to connect knowledge and to get back to the root of knowledge. And my hope is that I can have you guys, who speak English way better than me, and you have more vocabulary that can explain what I kind of cannot. And this is very, very, very exciting. There's a lot of times I want to present this, but I just couldn't figure out the right word to explain. So I'm so thankful that I have everyone here joining me and sharing your thought and idea. And I learned so much from it. So once again, I appreciate you.
Ben, your English is great. Just gonna say that. And I've never felt like there was a word missing any time that you've talked about any of this. So we are here for you and happy to be part of the conversation, but you do not need our vocabulary. You've got it.
Thanks. It's with me. It's very
Yeah,
sweet.
thank you, Ben, too. I found it very clear and easy to follow. Everything is perfectly said, so there's no problem with the vocabulary. I learned a lot from this meeting, and I just quickly would like to mention a little bit about Whitney just mentioned before, because it is very important as well. She said that we need to keep an open mind and question our views and our opinions and what we understand, our knowledge all the time. Because what we think, we believe is true today, we may say it in different way tomorrow or change our view completely tomorrow. This is a part of our learning process. And also, I think I can relate this important point to one of very important Buddhist teaching about impermanence. We all know that everything is impermanent. Everything change momentarily. So the more we keep our mind open and flexible, just the second, the first principle of intellectual well-being, then the more we can learn and the more we can deepen our life experience, and it makes our life more meaningful and happier. So thank you very much.
Tell you what, I see Victoria's light there. I see you there, Victoria. You know a couple things.
Yeah, that was a perfect
I love
tie-in.
it.
You're exactly right. Love that.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks for a great reminder, and that's why I love you guys so much. And that when I say that my English is not good enough, it's just I have a very strong connection to this knowledge, and I know how vast it is, and I know that word cannot do this knowledge justice. And I'm so lucky to get to learn from the happiness study program, where I get to learn about the actual age, about great thinker like Lao Tzu, Socrates, the Buddha, and many, many more. And even them could not put to word these amazing knowledge. They can only describe it vaguely. And I think that is something that I have always questioning myself. I think I'm a little bit too greedy when it's come to knowledge. But I know that together, as a collective whole, we will build on this. We will have a deep understanding of this, and together, we will supporting and assist each other in receiving this connection, receiving this understanding. And with that, I would like to say thank you again, and I will see you next week. And I would like to go out with a song.